Okay, hi Anthony. So let's get to know a little bit about yourself. Where are you from?
Hey, Jace, thanks for having me. I am born and raised in Toronto, Canada.
Oh, that's awesome. So moving on to like your childhood and stuff like that, did you play hockey growing up?
I did. I played hockey in the SHA, which was the Scarborough Hockey Association. It was based in a suburb of Toronto. It didn't have all the traveling that the GTHL, the Greater Toronto Hockey League, had, which was better for my parents. That's what they were happy with doing. And honestly, I started late. I started skating at 8 years old. I didn't even know how to skate until I was 8, so very very late. I grew up playing a very high level of soccer, so hockey was kind of my second sport. But I fell in love with it. I fell in love with skating. I really enjoyed skating, and I still play. So that's the key. Is hockey's been almost as big a part of my life as soccer has, but it's still that's definitely the I would say a 1B sport, not number two. So.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
So I got to ask you, Anthony, being from Toronto, surely you've been to the Canadian National Tower. Tell us a little bit about that. I've been there once, and I tried to explain it to Chase, but what is the best thing you can think of about there?
oh man, so I a few years ago, a girl I was dating at the time bought me the Edge Walk. I don't know if you know about the Edge Walk. It's you go on top of the tower and you walk, and it's the width of a regular like sidewalk. Okay, so that's how it is. No guardrail, nothing. You're attached to this rope, and they give this spiel like the rope can hold an elephant, so don't worry, like it's gonna hold you. And you walk around, and they make you like lean back, and you're leaning back over the entire city, and then you lean forward over the entire city. It is insane. So I don't know the off the top of my head the height of it, but it is awesome. In the middle of it, there's a glass. I'm sure you told them about this. The glass floor.
Yep, that's the part I remember was the glass
The
floor.
glass floor,
That was like
and it
2000.
rotates like you're standing and you're like floating in the air, hundreds of feet above the ground. So
That's
it's a little surreal. There's a lot of people who freak out there. But you can have dinner there. There's a restaurant up there. You can have dinner like rotating and looking down to nothing. And it's really cool. And they just built a few years ago. I don't know when you went, Will, but they just built a few years ago the aquarium, Ripley's Aquarium, right next to it. So on top of the roof of Ripley's Aquarium, there's two giant sharks designed.
Really?
So you see that, yeah.
That's
And
really
then
Yeah, when
in
I went there, I don't think that was built. I went there, gosh, I was in like seventh grade. It was a school field trip, and
oh wow,
there's a big mall there. And I remember the CN Tower, that big glass floor. That's probably the most memorable is walking on that and being like, "Am I gonna fall? Is this gonna hold me?"
yeah, it's a pretty surreal experience, but very cool. I mean, for a while, that was the tallest building in the world. So
Oh yeah. It sounds a lot like the Seattle Space Needle. I've been up there. I never actually went inside of it. I was way too scared to go in there. But it kind of sounds like it because I know the Seattle Space Needle spins and then it has the restaurant in it, but I don't think it has any of the other cool stuff that one has.
yeah, so when you come, if things open up, you make your trip to Toronto, we'll definitely see about going for sure.
Oh yeah, that sounds awesome. So moving on to Blade Tech, how did you kind of come up with the idea for Blade Tech? Like, where did this come from?
Yeah, well, admittedly, I didn't invent the technology. That was my partner Jeff. So we're definitely a two-man operation. I'm more on the business and marketing end, but yeah, he came up with it, and it was just simply, he probably got to around your age or maybe even a little younger, and his dad was like, you know what, he was playing hockey just like I was, and he's like, you know what, you're gonna have to start buying your own equipment. It's really expensive. If you want to do it, get a part-time job, earn your money, save your money, and you got to start buying your new equipment. So from there, he's always been conscious of like what equipment is and where the value is. So as a fast forward, he's in university, he's doing mechanical engineering, and he's looking at the skate market specifically, and he's looking at the companies have 10 different levels of skates from $100 to $1,000, and every $100 you're getting a better skate.
Yeah.
But then he really looked closely at the skates, and he realized that the $100 skate and the $1,000 skate had the same holder on it and the same steel on it. So really, you're getting a better boot, and the boots do improve as you go up. But he's like, but it's only like a third of the skate. There's these other two parts. He said so. and how much value are you getting from like better rivets in one, or you know, a slightly lighter material in another one. So the value, even in the middle, there was not really much difference. So he started looking at, well, let's look at the holder and the blade, and is there something we can do in the relationship there? Then he researched some other technologies. So the clap skate, for example, in speed skating, there's a technology there. When that was invented, the first Olympics that was allowed, every single world record was broken at every distance.
Wow.
So it was like, you know, athletes didn't all of a sudden become superhuman. It was technology working in the skate for them, and that's their only piece of equipment is the skate, right? So so looking at that, taking some inspiration from other things, from, you know, tennis, from golf, where there's an elastic approach, and things compress and expand. He looked at that, and he built first a spring-loaded skate. So he actually put a metal spring into a holder and attached it to a regular blade, and had that motion in the front of the blade. And then I met him when he had that prototype. I said, this is a great idea. It wasn't a great product yet. It was a great idea. I said, you have to reiterate this and figure out a way we can build this into something that we can, you know, market and sell. And so fast forward a few iterations, and he came up with this, with having that same motion, but in a single piece, in one skate blade, which was easy to try, easy to install, easy for people to try and use. And then we got going when he finally created that the product you see today.
Oh yeah, and then the flex force, how does that work?
Great question. So it does two main benefits. And when Jeff was inventing this, he was really looking at the health aspect of, you know, looking at, again, the clap skate, but looking at things like running shoes and protecting the joints of people. So when you're skating, especially from a standstill or out of a tight turn, a lot of your force is going down into the ice, and that doesn't actually help you go forward. So you think of a vertical plane and a horizontal plane. When all your pressure is going down, it's not pushing you forward. So if we could cushion some of that, your knees would absorb less, and you would, you know, have less damage over wear and tear over the years. You would fatigue less. Your muscles would have to work less harder trying to convert that vertical force. You know how hard it is when you're pushing from a standstill to get moving forward. Once you're moving forward, it's easy to go faster. But to get, you know, change of directions or get that, it's really a lot of leg strength and a lot of muscle work. And it fatigues over time. That's why, you know, shifts are only, you know, 30 to 45 seconds, because you're playing at this high pace and you just can't do that for a long time. So fatigue and injury prevention was the main goal. But then he was looking at it, and the physics of it made sense. He's like, well, if you're using, you know, if you're taking this energy and then now you're releasing it because the blade's whipping back after you extend your stride, you probably have more power, and you're probably increasing your foot speed on the vertical plane. So let's test it. This is something that's pretty easy to test. So he did initial on ice testing and found that it was making players about 5 to 6% faster just from this. Now you had a more efficient and more powerful stride.
Right.
So this was, he's testing it with a former NHL player. So it was a high level player, and it was really really interesting. Then we took it to a third party, and we confirmed that. So they tested a lot more players, and that kind of confirmation of that speed and stuff was the same.
Right. So not only do these blades really improve a player's performance, but they're good for their health and their longevity, probably making athletes last a lot longer. You know, like Joe Thornton, who's been playing gosh for probably close to 20 years now.
Yeah,
benefit from something like this.
Absolutely. It's funny enough, those players are the hardest ones to get to try it, because they're so comfortable with what they've been using forever. So actually younger players and stuff are usually better at trying it, because they've been used to using different sticks and different gloves and you name it, right? So it's funny enough that some of those players that benefit or would benefit are harder to get to try it. But we do have, it's crazy, the beer league market is massive. It's not a market that we've typically marketed to, because we're always focused on the highest level players of all ages. But these guys, you know, obviously guys bought our blades and have used it, and they said, the way I feel after a game is incredible. Like, you know, well, I'm sure you've played as playing those games and it takes you almost a week to recover after. Like, I feel it too. But these guys are like, I feel amazing. Like I go to bed without pain, and that's huge. So like the impact you actually have on their life is like they can actually go and play and enjoy playing without the consequence of pain and that stuff. So it makes the experience a lot more enjoyable. So at the top levels, it's obviously offering that speed and that longevity. Referees are another one that no one really thinks about. They're on the ice all the time. They don't have any breaks. And these guys I have a referee who has to get his knee scoped every 6 months just to be able to skate.
Wow.
Because there's no cartilage left. It's all gone. It wears out over time. And so if he can use Blatex and extend his career for 2 years, it's 2 more years of work. It's a big deal.
Worth it.
Oh,
Yeah.
So Chase, you started skating with Blade Tech blades, I know, just a few months ago. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about what you've experienced and what differences you've noticed? Because you went from just a basic skate blade in your skates to trying a step steel and then on to Blade Tech. So what have you noticed?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they're amazing. Just the acceleration on them and top speed is definitely noticeable within, just the first time you skate with them. And then also coming from like me, I broke my leg, as everybody knows, and when I was using the step steel, my ankle would hurt terribly, my knee would hurt terribly because it wasn't used to that. And then I got onto Blade Tech, and it was like it wasn't there. Like it was so much better. It's so amazing. I love them so much. Like it's not something that like I'm just boasting about. Like they actually work. It's actually making a difference.
No, I mean that's amazing, and I know your story a little bit and what happened, and this is something that's amazing where if you are playing, and no one really thinks about this too, but if you have an injury, and a lot of guys do have all sorts of different injuries and play through a lot of them, if you're playing with an injury, your body is naturally going to try to overcompensate, and you're going to have to adjust, and you are at risk of creating another injury, right? Pulling muscles and those things because you have to lean more to one side, and there's subconscious things, but they happen. And so if you're able to take pain away or even minimize it, it's huge. That's going to be a huge, independent of the speed and everything. It's going to prevent you from doing something that's going to hurt yourself further. So that's great. I mean, it's something, again, we love getting these stories because we kind of market two things of what the blade does, but it does a lot more when you get down to it, and it can actually change people's games for sure.
Oh yeah, it definitely has. I mean, this stuff is revolutionary. I believe everybody should use these blades. Like these should come standard in the skates.
I am going to 100% agree with you. Ideally, like where we're taking the business and where we want to go, we want this to be, this is the one-piece hockey stick. Everybody 10 years ago was using wooden sticks. Then the first it was the two-piece when you had the wooden blade. I remember my first Easton stick with the two-piece, and they're like, whoa, like, and I was shooting the puck. I was like, whoa, I can't, like, technique-wise, I'm terrible at shooting the puck, and I was shooting the puck like that. I was like, wow, this is different. This is something. So that's kind of what we want to be like. No one uses a wooden stick anymore because it doesn't make any sense. And so, why use a stiff skate blade? It's not doing anything for you. It's not doing as much as it can. So that's the idea, and that's the goal. And hopefully, hockey's expensive. Hopefully this is going to be, an option, at least in the top level skates, that you can get this technology.
Oh yeah. I mean, and even like the skate blades, like very truly, like just to buy them for your skates. Like say you just see Blade Tech, like if I'm being honest for you, I was looking at a Christmas list for 2020 in like February or whatever, and I saw this guy talking about Blade Tech. I was like, oh, those things are really cool. I'm gonna put those on my Christmas list. Nice. Way before I even started talking to you guys. Like these things are, and I was like, whoa, these could actually really help me. Way before I broke my leg, before any of that, I was like, wow, these are really cool. And I was doing like research, and I was kind of seeing how they work, and it was so cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think we got connected to you through through Brady and Matt, the puck stop there, or puck support. Sorry.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So they're good guys, and I think we just connected with them on Instagram. I'm pretty sure. But yeah, and they got you to this thing, and you're like, they're awesome. And then we finally got connected. We had our conversation, and I was like, wow, it was. I remember how excited you were to try them, and then I remember how even more excited you were after you told me about them, and how good they were for you. So that's great. We love hearing it. It makes us, honestly, for us, it makes it worth doing this for sure. So glad we could help.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think the blades are absolutely amazing, and not only the fact of the technology behind it, but like the customization that you can do to it, like the little etching into the blades, the colors. I mean, everything like that. That's so cool.
Tell us, Anthony, a little bit about the options and stuff you have with these blades. What customizing people can do, and a genuine question is, what is the most popular skate cut for sharpening that you get, or that you think people have on these?
Skate cut for sharpening. Hold on.
The depth.
Yeah. Let's see here. Oh, sorry. I was getting some messages. I don't know if you heard that. Sorry. Okay. I was trying to turn that off. Yeah. So customization. We do different coatings on our blades. So first of all, the coating. We never do anything for aesthetic purposes only. And I want to make this very clear. At our core, we are a technology and innovation company. So everything we're going to do, and with our product, we're going to do it for performance first. So we do different coatings on our blade. So one is like a ceramic coating. That's our black armor. And it does two main things. It fills in like microscopic imperfections in steel. If you look at steel at a very, very microscopic level, there's like little holes or little ridges in it. So, you sharpen your steel and it's smooth, but there's tiny things, and that creates a little bit more friction on the ice. It's microscopic again, but it does make a bit of a difference. The first thing it does, it coats the blade and it makes that completely smooth. So for your glide, when you're hitting top speed, that extra friction isn't going to slow you down. It doesn't exist anymore. But the other thing it does, it protects the edges. So your skate hits all sorts of things during the game. It hits the boards, it hits the puck, it hits other skates, sticks, you name it. It's going to protect those edges, and they're going to last longer. So even if you're hitting your blade and the surface of it gets damaged, that material, but the blade underneath doesn't. So your edges last longer. We have players going almost more than double their length of time between sharpens with our coated steel. So we have a black armor coating. Then we have a next level up, which is DLC, black diamond. It's diamond like carbon, it stands for. That's the material the Army uses to put on their armored vehicles, basically. Like, this stuff is impenetrable. It's awesome. So you coat your blades in that, and you're lasting a long time. And that is hitting against other, lesser quality steel or uncoated steel. That steel is going to get damaged, and your steel is going to be fine. So that's the highest end. But that middle end, that black armor, that ceramic, we've actually had a supplier, we can put pigment into it. So it's the same material, but we can make it different colors and different designs, and basically anything you want to do. We always ask people to challenge us and let us know what you want to design. So actually I have an example here. I'll show you this.
Yeah, I was just going to ask that if you had something that you could show.
Yeah. So we sponsored the NWHL, the women's hockey, National Women's Hockey League. And we made blades for every player. But we sent a little special gift for them, which were customized blades per team.
Oh, wow.
So I'm going to show you. This is the Toronto 6. So it's gold, red, and thing. And then we put their logos in there. So
yeah, like 3 different colors in there.
Yeah. So customized logo. So our Blade Tech logos, the Toronto 6 logo in the middle, and the NWHL League logo on the side there. So we can do 2 colors. We can do 3 colors. We can do 1 color. This one's cool. That's the Connecticut Whale. The old, remember the old Hartford Whalers colors? Yeah,
Hartford Whalers.
Yeah. So the Connecticut Whale kind of adopted those, and that's their thing. So customization, honestly, anything you want. I'll show you the last one here, because this has been the most popular. And when we posted another team. This is the Riveters. Okay. Posted a blade of these colors, and they loved them.
Wow.
like
That's so
it's a
sick.
navy blue. And then we did like this the sparkle the sprinkle of paint,
That's really cool. So was that their team
So,
logo that was in the middle on the other
yeah,
side?
so this is the Riveters team logo.
Oh wow. That
Cool.
detail's really good on
That is
those.
so cool.
So colors, basically any color combination. Etching, very popular is name numbers, but we can put your team logo. We can do pretty much anything you want. We won't put weird things like swear words or anything, but we can basically customize it with anything you want, and that's all available like online on our shop. You can go and you can customize it. You can upload a picture file for your photo, or sorry, for your logo. Yeah, anything you want. Obviously, it's combined to the space, like it's a small space. So if you send something with too much detail, it's not going to look great because it's very small. But most of like you've seen this here, we make it where it's kind of the outline, and you can like there's enough detail in there.
Yeah, no, that's really, really good. The logo looks awesome.
Yeah. So we can do anything, and we love being challenged, and we love making new stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, that is so sick. And I definitely can tell that like how long it's taken between sharpenings. I think since I've gotten my blades, I've sharpened them twice in the past 6 months.
Wow.
To say. And I haven't sharpened mine since President's Day weekend, I think was the last time I sharpened my blades.
Mm-hmm.
And they're still perfectly fine, more than fine. I feel like I just got them sharpened yesterday.
And you're on the ice how much?
Oh,
at least 4 to 6 days a week, sometimes twice a day.
Yeah, I sometimes 3 times a day. Like last week, I had 2 back-to-back morning lessons and then practice at nighttime.
Wow.
And my skate blades still feel perfectly fine.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. So for everybody, Chase, so you have a couple pairs of skate blades. What do you have customized on yours?
I have a pair of puck support custom blades, and then I have one that is personal from my Nana Mama who passed away in August, and both of them are just absolutely stunning. I love them.
Yeah, that was cool. We love getting that. People that make it really personal like that. I think it's a cool thing to have on your blades. I know she would probably appreciate that if she saw that for her. We have a lot of guys who get it. We've done some pink blades and things like that for breast cancer awareness, and people putting mom or their wife's name, or people close to them who've suffered from that. So we've done some really cool things. We've done purple blades for Hockey Fights Cancer. I think it's November that the NHL does that. So there's a lot of pictures of Nick Backstrom from the Washington Capitals. We did, with the Hockey Fights Cancer logo with Backstrom's name on it. So he wore them during the warm-up skate, and then he autographed them, and they auctioned them off on the Washington Capitals site for $600. $600. They went to raise money for cancer research. So really cool stuff like that, and we're looking to do more of that. We actually can make. I don't have one on me, but we do make camo blades as well. So we've done a lot of stuff for veterans. We have actually, I might be able to show it up if I can share my screen.
Yep.
I actually might have this hand if you give me a hot second.
Yep.
Oh yeah, here I have it. So we got reached out from good friends of ours that their buddy was being deployed overseas as a guy they play hockey with, and they wanted him a little parting gift. So they made him these camo blades.
Well, I'm excited to see this, being active duty myself coming up in 20 years. I'm excited to see what this looks like.
Okay, right. Can you see my screen here? Oh, there you go.
Yep. So if you could put it on your full screen there, we should be able to see it here.
Yeah, let me see if I can do this.
Oh wow, yeah,
Oh,
yeah, we can see those really.
Sick.
So we're looking at, we might do something like a limited time edition where you can get your blades camoed, basically.
That is really cool.
So cool.
This guy was his name. So he got the U.S. Army star and U.S. Army. I guess it's like a patch there, and then that was his nickname, Twitch. So
awesome. That is incredible.
Those are.
We saw them. We're So we do all sorts of different things like that, and you can see some of the other ones here. But it was really, really, we love doing that. We love hearing the people's stories and playing a little part and doing something special for people that they're going to remember. So we actually I might release on our Instagram in the next week or so, but I have a video of him like opening them that they were nice enough to send us. So
yeah, definitely tag Splittin Twigs in that. We definitely like to share that. That hits
Yeah.
home for us with the military as well.
amazing.
Oh yeah, I might. If you drop the limited time camo ones, I'm definitely gonna pick up a pair of those.
We'll work something out. We'll work something out for sure. So we'll see. We just try to work with our supplier, make sure we can do. I mean, I did these. I didn't even do these on purpose. Like I did them because they ran out of black hats. My supplier didn't have black hats, so we got these, and I love the way they look, and we're producing way more of them. So I think we're going camo, and it was just kind of a thing that we did, and people seem to really like it. So we'll do more. We're always open to all sorts of different things.
Oh yeah, those look absolutely amazing.
Yeah, and with the Armed Forces tournament every year, we get a lot of all different branches playing hockey together, usually in Vegas. But that's something that I think a lot of the guys, if they see a couple sets of those, be like, man, where'd you get those? I got to get some of those.
So let's talk offline after. Like we'll see what we can hook up, because it would be cool to be able to supply those guys and prizes or do something for especially for that kind of tournament. We love taking part in that stuff.
Definitely.
Oh yeah, those Twitch ones, those look absolutely amazing. Like the detail in the etching, it's so unreal.
Yeah. No, it's amazing what we can do, and honestly, my partner Jeff's really responsible for all the production and everything, and what he's taken, where we started it's been almost 6 years now, but basically 5.5 years where we started with the product and where it is now and where it's going, and more stuff we can do is pretty incredible. So
talking about your story and a little bit about that, where you started. So you say 5 or 6 years ago. Tell us a little bit about the size of your operation, and were you in a little room, little warehouse, to what you guys have grown to now and how it is now?
Yeah, great question. And there's a little secret. The people who know us well, but I'll tell you a little origin story. So it was 5 years. It was 2015 September. We got NHL approval. It was the very first thing we did. We had not sold any blades at this time. Wow. We're like, we need to make sure that this is not considered cheating, because we've proven that it makes players faster. So as long as it's available to everybody, just like good sticks make players shoot harder, right? It's the same thing. Mm-hmm. As long as it's available to everybody, it's fine. So we went to the NHL, got approval right away. The first thing we did is sell it to NHL players. Those were the first people on Blade Tech were NHL players.
Who was your very first customer?
Very first customer was the equipment manager of the Washington Capitals.
Wow.
I think it was the very first one. Wrong. New York Islanders. Washington was the next week. But it was New York Islanders. Ryan Pulak, who was at the time was going up and down between the AHL and the NHL. He'd only played a handful of games in the NHL at that point. He was the first NHL player, the first player to use an NHL game. And liked it great. He's been on ever since. So he's been on Blade Tech for over 5 years. Then the next one was Washington spread the quickest. So we got 2 guys on it. The equipment manager says, "These are great. I need 60 pairs. So I'm going to put 8 guys on it."
Wow.
We're like, sure, no problem. We only had 60 pairs. It was all we had. So we're like, yeah, no problem. So cleaned us out overnight, and we're like, okay, now we got to make more. How do we make more? How do we make them faster? All this stuff. And I had a lot of growing pains with them. We had a lot of, things that went well, things that did not go well. So that's the story of small business entrepreneurship is everybody sees the successes, but for those successes, there's at least 10 failures, or at least 10, not failures, they're learning. It's all learning. So that was great there. And it kind of spread organically. New York Islanders was a slow build. Now we have about half to 3/4 of the skaters on it. On the New York Islanders, that's definitely the most Blade Techy team in the league, and it kind of went like that. So, buying 60 pairs at once used to clean us out. Now, now we do that in a week or so. So it's really grown organically. It's been a slow build. My partner and I have been doing this part-time, so we've both been working and building Blade Tech. And it got to the point where there were some shifts in the market. Step Steel got bought by CCM. A few other things happened, and we're kind of taking a lot more of the market now. I was able to transition to doing it full time as of November, so really recently, and it's been great. So we're looking at expanding our space. We're looking at expanding our team. But we've been running it. I run a very, very lean business on purpose. So we're very agile. We can adjust. That's why, like, our business grew through a pandemic when there was not a lot of hockey being played. So it was market factors, and also the fact of, if sales were down in a month, it wasn't going to hurt us, because it's very important to build our business that way and future proof it. And a lot of, unfortunately, in hockey especially, it's very expensive. If you're in hockey equipment, it's extremely expensive just to manufacture, just to design, just to build. So so a lot of companies are doing similar things, and then they don't really differentiate from each other. And some of the companies, as soon as the pandemic hit, they basically folded up shop in terms of their hockey operation. Some of the smaller ones, obviously.
Right.
But even the bigger ones had to cut their workforce and stuff like that. So it did hit the hockey community and industry really hard. But for us and just what we're doing, there was a perfect storm of a bunch of other things. And I can only imagine what it would have been like if the pandemic wasn't happening. So we're very, very fortunate and very, very happy with where we're at, and definitely moving up.
That's awesome. And then with this Flex Force advantage, I know obviously I learned today about the health advantages. I never really even thought about that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys have any intent or any moving forward into maybe a goalie type blade, something that would benefit a goalie, or do you already have something like that? I'm sure.
We do produce 2 goalie blades for the top, Bauer and CCM skates. The flexing in there is minimal. We haven't done the R&D on the goalie, because goalies are different. I mean, they're different. We know they're different in a lot of ways.
Yes, they are.
They are. There's different styles. Let me go to skating, for example. So if you're a player and you skate forward or backwards, doesn't matter your style and stuff. There's certain mechanics that you have to push off with your toe for you to move forward or backwards. You can't get away from that. This is the design of skating. Goalies are a little different. Some push off their heel, some push off their toe, some have really sharp skates, some have really dull skates. There are so many variables with goalies that it's hard to design one blade for them. And at the end of the day, they make up less than 5% of the market. So it's hard to, from a business standpoint, justify doing the research and stuff to do that.
That's definitely true. I don't think of that aspect of it.
Yeah. So I mean, we got asked as soon as we started. We got asked about goalie skates, and the answer was no. We're not doing it, because unless I can do something, with some flex in there with our technology, there's no point. There's decent steel out there, but now decent steel is becoming harder to find. So we've produced in the last 2 years. We've had goalie skates as well, but we did some stuff a little different. Like we tried to make them a little higher, so they increase the attack angle of. For butterfly is the most popular style now, and doing things a little bit different. So even if the flexing in them is minimal, it still exists. It's still in there, but we're trying to do other things to make it better for most goalies, and that's all we can do really. So,
right.
Yeah, great question with goalie, and a lot of people don't know that we do have goalie as well.
Yeah, I didn't even know that. I thought, I had no idea. Oh yeah. Yeah, so a lot of the technology is definitely very impressive. And like you were saying before, that coating on it that makes it so much stronger. I mean, yesterday, just to put an example out there, I had a clinic with an edge work coach, but the rink's Zamboni broke, and it only has one sheet of ice at that rink. So it only has one Zamboni.
Yeah.
And so the ice had been skated on 2 to 3 times before I even got there. There was like chunks missing out of the ice. There was a snow layer on it. and the blades held up perfectly. They don't even have a roll in them. I mean,
Wow.
it's perfect.
It's awesome.
Oh yeah, the technology behind them is definitely very advanced compared to maybe even step steel, for example, which I used and had to get them sharpened every 2 weeks or something like that.
Yeah. No, it definitely helps in all situations. We had NHL guys, kind of one case in the NHL. We were telling the equipment manager, we're like, we're doing this and we put really good coating on it and they're going to last a lot longer. Like as an equipment manager, he's got at least 4 pairs of blades per guy ready to go at all times. So it's a lot of maintenance. He rotates them so they don't get, one pair doesn't get too short, and then you put another pair and they're really tall, and there's a big difference. So it's a lot of maintenance now to keep NHL guys going. And we're telling him this, and he's like, you know what? Okay. He goes, I'm going to take this guy, and I'm not going to sharpen his skates. I'm going to wait for him to come and say something to me to sharpen his skates. And he went at the NHL level 4 skates before he said anything. So it's 2 games and 2 practices. And at that level, they sharpen between periods. Like they never go more than 1 skate without at least a touch up, at least a couple of passes on the sharpening machine to do it, because the force that they put from their skating alone, plus, a puck's hitting those blades, the force that in that game at the NHL level is immense on everything, on all their equipment, on all their skates, on their blades. So the fact he came to us and goes, wow, he goes, I've never seen this. He goes, I've never seen somebody go 4 skates without noticing a difference. So that we were impressed. We're like, okay, we know it was good. We don't know it was going to go 4 NHL skates before it needed a touch up. So that is kind of the NHL version of that story.
Yeah, we knew it was good, but we didn't know it was that good.
And we're like, oh, we're just trying to like, oh yeah, no, for sure, yeah, it's high quality, and we're like, this is awesome.
Well, and a lot of the people that skate in the north, skating on these outdoor rinks, that's something they definitely need to know. I mean, that's durability and a lot more skating time with less maintenance. That's really incredible.
It's funny, we have guys. One of our partners, he's a younger guy, and he posted some pictures, and I noticed our blades weren't in there. He made an outdoor rink and he was skating on it, and he wasn't using our blades. And I sent him a message. I said, hey, what's going on? And he's like, oh no. He goes, I'm sorry. He goes, I didn't want to ruin my blade techs, so I didn't use them on the outdoor skate. And I was like, okay, that's fair. That's a good reason. So we have guys that are using, their stock steel and stuff as backup. And, if anything happens, or we have now, it's very common for us to get orders that are 2 pairs. People don't want to mess around with stock steel anymore once they have this, right? Why would you? So, you spend so much on your stick and everything. Like your stick, for example, you're spending hundreds of dollars on, like a lot. But think about how many times you have the puck versus how much you're skating, and where the value is per dollar spent. Like this is, again, going back to value, the original story that I told you about where the value is. Skates, huge value. But when you get to the middle tier, they're all pretty much the same. So at that point, the next value you can add is really high quality steel. Even at a lower end skate, if you want to spend $200 on skates, buy a $100 skate and buy a $100 blade. You're going to get the most value and bang for your buck and performance out of investing in steel, hands down.
Oh yeah. And then kind of speaking about that NHL type thing, how many players would you estimate in the NHL right now use your blades?
Yeah, it's a bit of an estimate because guys like to change things. Because blades are so easy to change, it's something that they change now. Just like, if I don't score for 3 games, I'm changing my stick, right? Like it's the stick's fault. So it's somewhere between 50 and 60 players right now. Again, most of them on the New York Islanders. So we have guys kind of spread out throughout the league. 1 player here, 2 players there. A few guys on Vegas, guys on Minnesota. We did have a couple of guys, actually Shane Doan in Arizona for a while. We had it before he retired. We actually met him. We went to a conference in Phoenix, and we met. He showed up. He came in there, and we were talking to him. We're like, hey Shane, we're Blade Tech. We make your steel. He goes, oh man. He goes, they're amazing. He goes, you got to stop selling them to everybody else. Like, he's like, I'm up there. He goes, I need all the help I can get, but it goes, that doesn't help me if everybody else has it too. So that was our early days. That was a few years ago, and it was cool to meet him. We got a pair of blades signed by him, and he was a great guy. So yeah, it's grown from there, and it's been it's been a few guys here, a few guys there, but we're hoping to grow. We're now focused a lot more on the younger players, so major juniors in Canada, for example, a lot of the NCAA. So we expanded from 1 team to 4 teams this past season, which was difficult because there wasn't a lot of leagues going on, or very, very limited. So we're hoping for a much bigger year this upcoming season. But that's been more of our focus now. Is okay, we know that works in the NHL, it's kind of for validation. Now let's target, a lot more players, because there's the NHL, if you look at it as a market, is very small.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and the point you brought up about, you're really making me think this podcast. You're really making me think on this, because I didn't think about the health benefits and like your body and us older guys, how much this could benefit us. But you also brought up the value of the stick versus your blade, and how equally important the blades are as your stick. Chase has been skating with private coaches for a little while. Well, he just started skating a couple months ago with Boris Dasenko, who was Austin Matthews' personal coach for years.
Wow.
And all he does is edge work. I mean, you watch these guys, and they're constantly just on their edges. They're working their skating that's just on their outside edge, just on their inside edges. And the blades, you realize how important they are for just a tiny piece of metal. And I'm sure Chase can attest to that a little bit, about the difference that they're making him doing that edge work now with these blades versus what he's been in.
Oh yeah, it's definitely crazy. I mean, you never unless you've been skating like Canada, like places like Arizona, like none of my friends or even me would ever think about edge work. And then we started working on it, and you don't realize how big and how much even just little things can affect your game. Like just understanding the mechanics of the blade, just little tiny things can throw your game off so much. It's so incredible.
We have, it is not uncommon here, especially in the Toronto area and stuff. Kids that are good hockey players at 7 or 8 years old take a year of figure skating. It is because that's all edge work. It's all you do. And there are some players and guys I grew up with that played and were much better skaters than me. It was unbelievable the stuff they could do in a game, and how elusive they were, and all those things. And it's something that, as an amateur viewer of sports, you don't realize until you get into it. You don't realize how good, like you said, what's great about Matthews, everybody talks about the way he scores and the shots and stuff, but you don't realize how good he is at protecting the puck, how good he is at getting into space, how good he is at getting away from guys. That's all skating. That's all edge work. And he can't, and using his weight, because he's a big guy, right? He's a tall guy, but using his body and using that, where, it was guys like Jaromir Jagr and even Joe Thornton and stuff that you couldn't get the puck off of them. Not big, they were big guys, but it was also they knew how to use their body, and they could move on the ice. It looked like Jaromir Jagr was never skating, but he could move, and it was a different thing. And it's all edge work. It's insane. So that's great that you're starting that is going to make you such a better player, because you're going to be in all the right positions. It's going to be easier for you to get there than other people. And it's not about speed. It's not about full speed and that stuff. That stuff helps, but really it's about mobility. It's about agility, and blades was this technology, and also quality, like what you're talking about, the edges and stuff that comes from quality steel. Like you can't fake high quality steel, and it's really, really important. And that was basically a choice that we made. I talk about the technology and what happens. It's great. It's not as good if you choose crappy material. Yeah. It just doesn't work the same. So, and that is 100% a materials choice. Like you can cheap out. We could make more money technically if we used worse steel. We didn't want to do that because it didn't make sense. It was like doing a half job.
Right.
So we're like, let's put this on the best steel possible. And actually we did it, and we did some DLC coating on a grade of steel that we originally started with. And I would get calls. Actually, the Toronto equipment manager used to call me, and he used to go, he's like swearing at me. And we're like, what's wrong? Like, did something break? Like, what happened? He goes, I can't sharpen these things. Like, they're too hard. Well, we actually had to go to a grade lower. Like, we needed something that you could work with, right? That you could actually sharpen. So our original ones with our DLC coating were too hard. Like, they were ridiculous. So it was, again, the products evolved as we have. But yeah, the quality, the innovation and the quality is you won't find that combination in anything else.
Yeah, that's amazing. We're trying to keep this at about 45
Yeah.
an hour. Thank you so much for coming on. I've learned so much personally, the things I didn't even know. Like, it was amazing for you to come on and just get to know more about these blades and everything about your company as well.
Well, thank you, Chase, and thank you all. Like, this was really I love talking about Blade Tech, obviously. I love talking about you about Blade Tech because you use it at a high level and you've noticed the difference right away, which is really cool. So I love that you spun up this podcast. We're gonna come on anytime you want. No problem. And good luck with building it. I'm sure it's gonna be awesome. You guys did a great job so far.
I appreciate that.
And if you guys want, we can do, as part of this podcast, we can do a giveaway. So anybody listening or anybody watching, if you want to give away a pair of steel, we can absolutely do that for you.
Yeah, that would be absolutely amazing. Like, awesome. We could make like a custom pair of Splittin Twigs blades, and that would be sick. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely. So
yeah, definitely look at in the future as we build and build. Definitely learned a lot about your company. Definitely learned a lot about your product, and I think Chase's championship weekend for state is this weekend, so I think he's really going to put these blades to the test this weekend.
Well, that's awesome. I mean, that's where we want to be, championship games, So good luck with that. Hope it goes well. And yeah, thanks again, guys, for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Oh yeah, we appreciate you coming on. Thank you.
All right, thanks a lot, Anthony.
Bye.